Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake.
I'm your host, Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while. We're here. Things happen. Life's weird. We're back.
We are
Jake,
finally
what are you
back from the
drinking this week?
store. We got the milk. We got the milk's in the fridge. We picked up our
I
carton of
don't know where this
smokes.
is going.
You never the dad. Oh, I'm just going to get milk, and then they never show up. Like they never come back.
Ooh.
That was almost us, but we came back. I am drinking non-alcoholic beverages tonight because I've been drinking too much recently. So I'm taking a break. I haven't really been drinking too much. I've been drinking more recently than I had in the past. So I'm just drinking some nice Waterloo sparkling water, strawberry flavor to be specific. What about you, Kyle? What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Mountain Dew Frozen from Taco Bell.
Nice.
I blanked on what the Mountain Dew was called when I tried to say that out loud. So
Baja Blast.
There we go. It's a frozen Baja Blast. Carly went to Taco Bell. She got Taco Bell, and now I have a frozen Baja Blast.
I know. I feel like I get a Snapchat from Carly at least once a week of you guys getting Taco Bell now. We changed her life. Apparently.
There was a stretch there. It's been a while now. This is the first time in a bit, but yes, there's been a little bit too much Taco Bell in my life.
No such thing. As you can tell, Kyle is trying out a new internet provider, and it is a little grainy.
Is it that bad?
It's a little grainy. It's not great, Bob.
It's presenting itself to me fine. I don't see any difference. So
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let me know, I guess. The long story short of it, though, is that the internet does suck. So probably not going to continue using this provider. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good. If I play games on it, it's tolerable. I don't really notice. Every once in a while, I'll hit a lag spot. I can stream, which is probably part of the reason why I'm lagging a little bit, because I'm also streaming the game. But for the most part, it is a usable internet. I'm not going to lie, though. I was doing homework the other day, and it was taking like 2 minutes to load a web page at one point, and I got so fucking fed up with it that I just went off the hotspot on my phone, and it was way better. So, yeah, home internet from this particular company is not good. At least not in my area, which is totally fine. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to end up
some good defense.
Probably going back to the company that I was with previously, and I'll just let Carly sign up so we can get a new customer promo.
Smart. I like it. Anyways, fun fact of the day. Kyle, did you know that if for any reason you get a job and have to go work in Antarctica as part of that job, you have to get your appendix removed prior to going there?
That makes a lot of sense. I'm sure they don't have the emergency care that could take care of a surgery like that, or at least they don't plan to. So
exactly. They don't really have the capabilities there for surgeries like an appendix removal in Antarctica. So you get it removed if you ever get a job that requires you to work there. There's not many.
Makes sense.
But yeah, they do exist.
I saw on the old Reddito that a 737 landed in Antarctica for the first time ever, which was pretty cool. That just happened.
I did not see that, and that is pretty cool.
Pretty neat. Pretty large plane to be landing on the ice.
Yeah,
it took a pretty freaking normal landing. Like there wasn't anything, amazing about it. It just comes in and lands on the ice, but it's kind of cool.
It'd be that way sometimes. All right, I have the first topic of the evening. I'm going to start us off with just something a little fun. We've been playing this game with Jess's little brother. He has it on his tablet, and it's like you have to pick one. It's this or that. So we're just going to play some this or that for a few minutes. The one on the website, it actually like shows you what other people prefer. I couldn't find the exact website, and I'm not going to go for it. So Kyle, I'm just going to run through some of these this or that's, and I want to see your opinion on these.
Okay. Also, I can see the graininess a little bit now myself. Oh, it cleared up again. I don't fucking know. It looks fine to me most of the time.
It happens. All right. Would you rather have this or that? Pineapple on pizza or candy corn?
That's harder than you'd think for me because I actually enjoy pineapple on pizza, and I used to hate candy corn, but now Carly buys it every year, and I'll sit there and eat a shitload of it, so I can't say that I hate candy corn. I think I'd go pineapple on pizza.
I would go candy corn. I think candy corn is not a good candy, but I think it's overhated, whereas I do not like cooked pineapple. So that's really where it ends for me. Would you
I like it.
Would you rather would you rather win the lottery or find your soulmate?
Is this like I have to go back in time and pretend that I'm not already like married to my soulmate? If you
Yes.
believe in a soulmate.
Yes.
I'd take the soulmate. I'm a pretty happy person. I don't need
agree.
the money to be happier, right?
I would agree.
Like right now I'm sitting here thinking like if you gave me that choice right now and you're telling me that there's some other mate for me out there and I could choose between that and the lottery, I'd take the lottery.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, anyway, that's all I got to say about that. That's a good one.
All right. Would you rather fight zombies or vampires?
Zombies. For sure.
Carly would rather win the lottery than meet her soulmate. Sorry, Kyle.
It's kind of fucking rude.
Be that way sometimes. I would much rather fight zombies easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I could handle a zombie way more than I could handle.
Every portrayal ever of vampires is horrifying, right? Like other than Twilight, vampires are terrifying.
Also, like, how do you defeat a zombie? You shoot it in the head. How do you defeat a vampire? You can shoot them, but you have to have a very specific bullet made out of silver. You have to jam a wooden stake through their heart. Like, it's infinitely harder than fighting zombies.
That, and if you look at like some interpretations of the zombie or like some representations of the vampire, I mean, like Blade.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like if you look at some of those, like it's horrifying.
Yeah.
So
I actually just
zombies don't ever really get that scary, right? They're just kind of like usually pretty slow. Would I be afraid? Yeah, 100% I'd be afraid. But like at the same time, they're not nearly as capable or powerful as vampires are portrayed.
Yeah, I think with zombies, it's like the horde aspect of just there's a lot of them. You could get overwhelmed, but I feel like one vampire could overwhelm me a lot quicker than 100 zombies could.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would you rather be stuck with a lifetime of bad breath or body odor?
With nothing to do about it?
Yeah, you can't cover it.
Like, so like it's. So for
you
me,
shower,
right,
you shower every day. You wash your body, you use soap, deodorant, but you still stink. Or you brush your teeth, you floss, you use a water pick, you use mouthwash, chew gum, doesn't matter. You still have bad breath.
I think I have to go with I'd rather not have bad breath.
Yeah. I feel like bad breath is more manageable because like you and I.
We just said it's not manageable.
But like, hear me out. With body odor, like if you're around people, no matter what, they notice how bad you smell. Versus like if you're talking to somebody, like if they're farther than like 2 feet away, they don't smell your breath typically. Like unless it's like horrid.
This might be bad to say and admit, but if somebody has bad breath, I immediately will go talk shit about that person.
Nice.
If somebody's a little bit stinky, I can probably tolerate it a little bit. But like I'll be like, "Oh, this dude has a dead tooth," or like, "Oh, I can't sit here and listen to this person anymore." Or like, "Oh, did you smell that shit?" You know what I mean?
True.
If somebody stinks, I'm like, that person kind of stinks. So I don't know. I think bad breath is fucking disgusting to me, and it's almost exclusively because it's so preventable. Like there's so much you can do to not have your mouth stink. And
to an extent, there's some things that people can't help.
Like what?
Like tonsil stones, for example.
You can get your tonsils removed, right? Like, I mean, if you're really that worried about it, get your tonsils out.
Fair.
Pull the fucking tonsil stones out.
Uncle Kyle in the chat said bad breath. I would probably rather deal with bad breath than bad body odor, but that's just me. I get it. I really get it.
Can't do it.
All right. Would you rather live in a world where we actively interact with robots or dinosaurs?
I mean, if you really wanted to like think of this through the right lens, we already live in a world where you have to interact with robots, so I'd go with that, I think.
So I'm thinking like you've seen the movie iRobot, right?
Right, yeah.
Like those robots, actual robots.
Like you're saying,
like,
these robots certainly want to murder me.
I mean,
that's how iRobot is.
There is always that potential. They could become sentient.
Robots.
All right. I also pick robots, but I had to play devil's advocate for a second there. Uncle Kyle also says robots because we already do. All right. Mm-hmm. Would you rather go to a store where every single item is free or go to a restaurant where every dish is free of calories?
Store.
I would actually pick the restaurant.
Yeah, store. Go on. What's your thought process?
Just for me, like because I lost a bunch of weight, like I'm more calorie conscious now, and it like makes going to a restaurant more of a nerve-wracking experience for me than it used to be. So just like knowing that I can eat whatever I want, I don't have to worry about it. It's not going to affect like my body. It's not going to affect how I feel because like I like eating foods that are higher calories, but I feel like shit after I'm done. And like if I could go to that restaurant,
one-time only experience, or is this
this is just
thing that you can go to?
One time, just one time.
Is this like a superstore, like a Walmart super center?
We'll call it.
Like what type of store is this?
We won't go as far as Walmart. We'll call it like a. Let's go with like a Target. Like doesn't quite have everything that Walmart has. Has a lot of things.
Is it a Target? A Target that has groceries?
It is. Yes.
Yeah, I'm 100% taking the store.
All right. I get it.
Money you could save yourself, and then I can go to any restaurant and like I could cook at home, right? Yeah. I'm taking the restaurant on that one, or the store.
That's fair. All right. What do you think is worse, owing somebody money or owing somebody a favor?
This is I think I'm gonna go with money because I think that I've had so many experiences now where people will owe me money and then gaslight me when I ask for it back.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, bro, are you going to give me that $5 back? And like, dude, it's just $5. You can afford that. Like, dude, like, do you really want me to give you $5 back?
Yeah, but you said like that, you would pay me back.
Right. And it's the principle of the matter. And like, but I've had this happen on many occasions in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Many.
Same.
Well, dude, like, like I know you bought those drinks and you said like you wanted me to get the next round, but like I don't really want to drink anymore. You know what I mean? Like just like stupid shit like that. Where like
that right there pisses me off to no end. Like, okay, you don't have to buy yourself a drink. Go get yourself a soda water and pay me the drink that you owe me. That's all you gotta
do. I generally speaking, unless I'm very intoxicated, will not buy other people drinks. They're like, oh, bro, you want to get this round? I'm like, no, you can walk up to the bar and get your own. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to fucking, because, and I am at a point where like a $5 drink isn't going to kill me, right? Like I'm not financially going to die because of that, but I've been in those places in my life when I could barely afford to do those things. And like, I was barely affording to go out, donating plasma to go to the bar because of how genius that is. And at the same time, like, like people were still pulling that shady shit. So yeah, I'm just not in on that. I'd rather owe somebody a favor personally.
I also would rather owe somebody a favor. It's the same kind of thing. Like I'm never lending an amount of money that I like is going to put me in a bad spot, but it's also like if I owe if somebody helps me, like the people who helped me move into my house, like I now owe them the favor of whenever they move, I'm going to help them move into their house. And so for me, I'm not really thinking about that actively. Like when it comes up, I just know that I owe them that versus like, if somebody owes me money, every time I see them, I'm subconsciously like, are they going to pay me this time? Are they going to pay me this time? Like,
yeah. And it's so awkward to ask, and like,
I hate that.
I hate the money shit.
All right.
Favors are a totally different thing. But if like when somebody helped me move, we like, for the most part, like my buddies that helped load the truck and when I moved out of Arizona, like we sent them gift cards. It's like, I can't give you a favor, so I'm going to give you money. You know what I mean? Like we still gave them something to try to take care of that.
Yeah, and it was like the same thing when I came to help you like get settled in your house. Like you're never gonna fly out here next time I move, but like you
depends on if it happens at a convenient time in my life.
That's fair. But you also, and I would return the favor to you that you did for me, where like I flew out there and like you guys paid for a lot of my food, paid for a lot of my drinks. Like, it was just that's what you did as your form of payment. I will do the exact same thing. If you come out to me to help me move ever, I will be paying for your stuff. Just, it's all about balance. All right. Last one here. I'm out of time, but I really want to ask this one. Harry Potter or Star Wars? And I'm only asking this one because I know how much you love both.
Is this a rest of life thing?
Yep. You can only watch one / read one for the rest of your life. And it's anything in that universe. So, like, I know there's a new Harry Potter series that's out. Like Star Wars is constantly being, new stuff is coming out for that universe as well.
Yeah, I think I would have to go with Star Wars because of the diversity of content. I've like, it's not like I'm burnt out in any sense on Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter, but at the same time, I don't crave watching it as much as I used to. Like, I'll go once a year maybe and watch them all.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, I watch a lot of Star Wars content.
Yeah.
Like every time something new comes out, I watch it.
Right.
And there's way more new coming out. Fantastic Beasts and Where You Find Them was okay. It wasn't great. I think they were trying to make that into like a whole. I think if I heard the rumors right, they were trying to make that a really long series, and then Warner Brothers or something like wasn't tracking that. And when they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to make this like a 10-movie series," they're like, "No more." So I think the last one was the last one. So who knows when you're ever going to get content from Harry Potter again? Yeah, I'll go Star Wars.
I have a Harry Potter tattoo, so I feel like I have to say Harry Potter. And you have a Star Wars tattoo. So I guess our answers line up inadvertently with that. But yeah, I just wanted to start it off with something nice and easy. Sure. Let the viewers get to know us a little bit more. See if our opinions on anything has changed since the last time they heard us talk about them. Because it's been a while, as we pointed out. And we're on season 4 of Two Average Husbands at this point. So it's been a while.
It's been a while. This is Lewis. He likes to hang out with me. He's a good cat.
He's a good cat.
All right. Mountain Dew Baja Blast Frozen is a 7.5 out of 10.
I like it.
It's pretty fucking good.
I believe it.
Good shit.
Waterloo sparkling water. You obviously have to like sparkling water. Joey, you're too kind. Thank you for hopping in the chat, brother. I'm sorry that our co-managed fantasy football league is not going better this year, but hey, we tried. It's not our fault. It's not our fault that J.K. Dobbins got hurt, Deshaun Watson got hurt, Nick Chubb got hurt, Aaron Jones got hurt early in the everybody we had got hurt. So we tried our best. We stayed competitive for as long as we could, and now we're just trying to get by. But Joey, you're the handsome one here. Real quick in the chat before I rate my drink, Uncle Kyle asking if I'm going to Miller's for Thanksgiving. I believe I am. I don't 100% know, but I think I am.
I love that this is the venue for that.
Hey, this is the venue for everything. Joey, I agree. Enough. It is big Stinky, but I do want to point out that you are not Big Stinky, and you are handsome yourself, and you're welcome on Two Average Husbands if you ever want to hop on. I miss you, buddy. All right.
Also for Dave, yes, we are the Mustache Husbands. I grow a mustache every November and every March, and Jake has been recently doing something similar to that. But his mustache just doesn't have the game that I've got. So
I have gotten some compliments on the mustache. Not many, but they've existed. But yes, yours is infinitely better than mine. My face just does not want to grow hair, and that is what it is. But with the Spindrift or Waterloo, sorry, I was thinking of Spindrift because I hate Spindrifts, and I thought Waterloo was Spindrift for the longest time, so I never bought these. These are honestly probably the best tasting sparkling waters that don't have any of like the sweeteners or anything in them. So on a sparkling water scale, I'll give this an 8.6 out of 10.
I don't know. What's the first one you said?
Spindrift.
I've never heard of that.
They like actually have fruit chunks in them. So it's like if it's a grapefruit one, for example, they like use grapefruit pulp to make it. So it's just not as good. Go Zay Flowers. Go Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers scored a touchdown. Ladies
and gentlemen.
It
was a nasty run though. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Easily distracted. Back into the topics. Jake, Thankfully, I have a wife that provides me with all of my topics now because I never think about the podcast until it's time to get on the podcast. So Carly sees something cool on the internet and then tells me we should talk about it. So all of these are from her. Thank you very much, wife, in the chat. First one. Do you watch reality TV?
Yes.
Okay, good. That'll make this question more applicable. What are the 3 reality TV shows that you would want to go on if you could? It doesn't have to be ranked order, just 3. You'd go and you have to give a justification, right? So like say it's like one of the competitive ones, like I would go on this because I think I have a chance of winning or whatever, right?
All right. So like game show style reality TV counts too.
Reality TV, yeah.
Okay. I think instinctually my first option would be, and this is going to be a very caveated answer. I would be a realtor on Selling the OC. 1, because I love Orange County. 2, they make a lot of money selling those multi-million-dollar properties. And 3, there's so much drama on that show that I just want to be a fly in the wall to all of that. There's always like the other realtors who are in the background, and I just want to be that realtor that is in the background watching the drama unfold and just sitting there sipping my tea.
Burrow's going to the locker room. Don't like that. Okay.
Probably just got to piss.
Yeah, because he's running. All right. So that's an interesting one. That is not where I thought this conversation would go. So reality real estate is the one Jake goes with as his number 1, not overall. But the one for me that would start this would be The Amazing Race. I want to do something. So I think The Amazing Race is perfect in a lot of senses for people that want to travel or would enjoy traveling. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
I can see the lag now. Anyway, so I think it is perfect for people that want to travel and who do not like to plan travel because it's all planned for you. So you get to go see different parts of the world while you're competing. And at the same time, you don't have to like think about places to go. You just get to go explore these places on a directed path. So it'd be cool in that sense. That being said, you don't get to like do the leisure part of it and like see parts of the country that like you want to.
Right. You're just competing.
I think The Amazing Race would be a ton of fun. That being said, I don't think I would be overly good at it. I just would do it for the entertainment aspect of it. Watching that show a few times now, I'm like, I would be horrible at a lot of these things, to include like get to this place by finding your way through a different country and driving on the opposite side of the road. I would die. Carly wants to know who my partner would be because we've kind of talked about this before. I would want my partner to be Carly, but I don't think that we would be good partners for The Amazing Race.
Right.
Because we both get frustrated in different ways. And I think we would both really struggle.
Right. You'd like butt heads too much.
It'd be like me driving and being like, go left. And then or she was driving and be the opposite or whatever, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know who my partner would be. I really don't. I'd have to figure that out.
Wrong answer.
Jake could do it, but I don't know if Jake would want to do it.
Oh, I'd do it. If you wanted to sign up for The Amazing Race sometime just to see if we could get on there, I'm down. Be good content.
I think it'd be fun.
All right, number 2 for me would be Survivor, specifically because I think I could win. That's it.
I don't know that I am manipulative enough to win Survivor. I'd never watched Survivor in the past, and I just recently started watching Survivor based on a family member of Carly's recommending it to us, and it is wild how manipulative that show is.
Oh yeah, you literally have to play the politics game, just like within the team.
And it's crazy how oblivious some people are to like how hated they are.
Oh yeah, they think everybody loves them, and then nope, they're the most hated person.
Or they're like, this plan is 100% figured out, and then you go and get voted out, yeah. Which just happened on one of them. So I don't know, man. I think Survivor is not the game for me. I don't think I would win.
I also just think like I can succeed in that environment of like, I don't look it necessarily, and I definitely don't act like it all the time, but like I know how to survive. I know how to like build a shelter, make a fire,
Survivor,
like all
though,
of that
right,
stuff.
is like you don't even have to anymore, at least not in the modern Survivor. Like I watched that show, and that's like one of the very first things I noticed is Carly and I used to watch Naked and Afraid because it was so entertaining. And like
Yeah.
those people know how to survive, right? On
Right.
Survivor, they give you food, they give you water. Your shelter is like bare bones to just what is required to keep a little bit of water off of you. Like they don't do that much with shelter. Like most of those people do not know how to build shelter and they're still fine, right?
Right.
Like I don't know. Survivor isn't about surviving. Survivor is a competitive mind game type game show.
Earlier
I
on,
think
it was
maybe
definitely a little bit
earlier
more.
seasons,
Yeah.
I think,
And that's most of my experience with it because I probably watched the first like 10 seasons and haven't watched since. But my experience with Survivor is when it was a lot more rugged than it is now.
yeah, it was like it was a little disappointing to see how little surviving there is in Survivor. Like,
Yeah.
there was an episode recently where they get a fishing kit, right, or
Mhm.
whatever, and I never saw anybody use it. And I don't know if they just like never did it on film, but like nobody used it, you know, because they're just like, fuck it, I'm eating this rice or whatever, you know, and then they get, I
Right.
don't know, it's whatever. I was disappointed a little bit. Number two reality show for me would be, and I don't know that this really counts as reality, so maybe I shouldn't do that.
And just say it. I'll tell you if it counts.
I changed my mind. I was gonna say one, but I think it's not reality enough. So maybe this one will count. I want to do Family Feud. I think Family Feud is one that I could actually be successful at. But
Family
I don't know
Feud would
if
be
that really
fun.
counts as reality. It's really just game show. Probably a little cheating there. So maybe I need to rethink that answer.
Is
But I
that
would
the
like
one?
to go on Family Feud.
I need to know what the other one was now.
I was gonna say Wheel of Fortune, but I think that one's certainly out of it because there's no team aspect at all.
Right.
Like, I think
Yeah.
at least the team aspect of Family Feud makes it a little bit more reality TV than it does game show. You know, a little bit more of a blend.
Yeah, I can
Hard
see
to
that.
say.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that.
Family Feud. Wheel of Fortune, I feel like I could do kind of well on that. I'm good at
Yeah.
finding those puzzles.
I love Wheel of Fortune. It's such a fun game. All right, number 3. This is where it starts to get a little bit harder, but I think I would like to be the new 4th member of the Impractical Jokers. Just like
Okay.
go around the country pranking people.
That'd be a good one. It'd be
And, like,
fun.
I know on that show, like I wouldn't have the hesitancies that you see some of these guys have. So I would just like all the outlandish shit that sometimes they just won't do. I'm way less worried about that. Probably because I'm younger than them. I would imagine
Carly
that's
said I
simply
need
what
to
it
change
is.
my answer.
Family Feud is not reality. All right. Well, Carly's gonna make you answer again. So, but
I got another one.
That is my final answer.
This is the one that Carly's had me watch this recently, and I am certain that I could handle this, and that is what the fuck is it called? Carly can chime in the chat, but it is it's not called boot camp, but it's when they put a bunch of famous people through like pseudo special it's called Special Forces.
Yeah, Special Forces World's Toughest Test.
I could do that.
That'd be fun.
I could 100% do it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Because I've watched it, and it's not Special Forces training.
Yeah.
It's basically just like you have to wake up at odd hours and do some physical shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
The only ones that are like a little bit even intense that I've seen so far anyway are like the actual physical fighting. Like when you have to go and like fist fight each other. I would certainly not do very well at that. I'm not a fighter, but the rest of it I think is challenges that I could make it through. Not that I would want to per se, but I could.
Your answer right there actually just made me change. I'm going to change my selling the OC answer. As much as I would love to be a rich realtor in Orange County, I'm going to replace that with the challenge, like the Real World Road Rules, the challenge show that was on MTV. I'd want to be on that.
Okay. The last one that I have, since you just redid one of yours, is I would 100% want to do the original Fear Factor.
That'd be fun.
Not because, which again, this is almost game showy, not so reality. I don't know. Carly can chime in the chat and tell me if this one's also unacceptable. But I think the original Fear Factor would be awesome because
I think that counts.
It would. I will self-admit that if it had to do with bugs, snakes, or some of the eating ones, I would lose. But like the more thrilling ones, like you have to jump between two semis or whatever. I think that would be fucking awesome to try to do one time, because like they put you in a situation where you're not going to die, right? Like, so if in a controlled environment, like I'm not going to go just try to jump between two semis right now, but if it was in a controlled environment that was like going to keep me from dying, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's a good answer. We did that at a friend's birthday party when we were younger. They did like a
game shows.
Fear Factor. We could also maybe that's my second topic. What game shows do you want to play on?
Well, no, but I also think that if I had to change answers, and Carly told me that is not acceptable, because the fucking Special Forces is certainly reality TV. There's like definitely 100%. A reality aspect to that. So that's 2 reality TV shows that are certain for me. So I would change Fear Factor if I had to, if it is only a game show, and I would go to Jersey Shore. I would do the Jersey Shore.
That'd be fun.
I don't think I'd want to have a main role in the Jersey Shore, like
right.
But to be involved with the reality TV show in some way, like you're that friend that shows up every once in a while and just parties with them, I would do that.
That'd be pretty sick. I like that. It's a good one. All right. Solid topic there, Kyle. We're going to roll right into mine. Kyle, what are some hobbies that you would like to get into, but you simply won't for the financial aspect of that hobby?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I know that I've got a few, so I'm sure you've got some too.
Yeah. I think the first one that would come to mind for me is woodworking.
Yeah.
And it's probably a little bit more than the financial aspect to it, you know, like, but I think in general, like the carpentry type things, whether you say like just like building furniture, or whether it be, you know, fixing things with wood or whatever, that would be awesome. But the tools that are involved in woodworking are actually very expensive, and then you have to get a lot of them. Like if you actually legitimately want to do it, right? Like my mom's birth dad was a woodworker, and he had an entire like separate add-on to his house essentially built. It was basically like a giant shed, but it was like bigger than your average shed, like a full-on like sided roofed, like it was in a shop, I guess, for lack of a better term, full of tools, like his planers, his routers, like all these different things that he would use, and hand tools, saws, lathes, everything. Like, and I can't imagine how much fucking money it cost for him to build that. Like we're talking tens of thousands of dollars in there. So yeah, I would I think it'd be fun. It'd be cool.
Number one for me, and this is gonna sound so weird to say this out loud as an adult, but it's not, because there's people who are older than me who are into this hobby, but like airsofting.
I agree.
Like it'd be so fun to do it. I would like airsoft. I had a bunch of airsoft guns when I was younger. I've always been into guns in general, and I just like the ones that don't necessarily hurt as bad if you mess up with them. But like seeing how expensive some of these airsoft guns get, and like you could, like, people who go airsofting buy the same sights, the same grips, the same everything that people who actually have guns and use guns buy for their stuff. So it's like, to build like a decent airsoft gun, if you're competitive, is $800+. And I know myself, when I compete in anything, I don't like to have like just one of something. Like for my softball leagues, I have like 3 different bats that I have, because I like, they all do different things for me. And it'd be the same thing for airsofting. Like I would want one for like milsim style. I would want one for more of like the speed gaming. I would want one for indoors, for outdoors. I would want a sniper, so I could do that if I wanted. I would want like, you know, I'd have to have sidearms. Like there's so many things that would go into it that I know if I ever tried to do it, I would immediately go bankrupt, because I would buy everything. Because I don't like to wait either.
Yeah,
I would just buy it all at once, and then I'd have.
I've gone in some rabbit holes of airsoft, and like the amount of money people spend is pretty insane on that shit. It would be a lot of fun though.
I would be 20 grand in debt in like a week.
Yeah, I would totally do it though. I would play some airsoft. I think I'd have a lot of fun. I don't even really give a fuck about the gun part of it either. I think it's just like the competitive part of it, and like it's like playing Capture the Flag when you're a kid, but you know, like the more intense version.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun.
So we tried to use airsoft guns to play Capture the Flag in our neighborhood, but parents got mad that we were doing that, because like BBs would randomly hit their houses and stuff, because we were playing like in the woods behind a park. So we switched, and so we just took socks and put them in balls. We just threw them at each other, and we treated that as like a weapon. So if you got hit by a sock ball, you were out. You had to go back to spawn.
Okay. The next one that I would say, because I think that airsoft would be on my list as well, but because I don't want to steal that from you, I would say paintballing, because same concept, same
Yep.
type of activity, same amount of cost for the most part, except for probably a little cheaper to get into paintball.
Definitely.
Just because, like you were saying, like you don't need as much variety per se. Not that you need it in airsoft, but if you wanted to get involved in paintball in a place that you could do it anywhere, right? Like
Right.
the guns are probably, I guess I don't know enough about paintball to say specifically, but I think you could probably have one gun that is applicable in most, if not all, environments.
Yeah,
And
you
that's
you definitely can. You definitely
same thing
can
with
because
airsoft, but
especially because like paintball, it's typically like a much more enclosed area, whereas like airsofting, it's like some of these places that like companies set up airsoft fields at, it's like there's abandoned buildings, there's different terrain that you're on. It's can be like the course can be like up to a mile of land, if not more. Like they can
that's
be
why
huge.
anytime I've ever done paintballing, I just rent.
Yeah, same.
Like you go for a day and you rent the shit at the place, and you just like it's never good. It's always garbage that's been beat to death, but
It
you get to
works.
play. So.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm gonna pop Uncle Kyle's up on the screen here, performance Harleys, because that goes into my second answer, which is I would love to have like project cars, but that is going to be a money hole. And with project cars for me, I would never be satisfied with just one. So like the first project car that comes to mind for me is like I would want to buy, build, and mod the shit out of a Jeep Wrangler, and then I would probably sell that, and then I'd want like try and find like an old Toyota Supra or a Nissan GTR or something like that. And then I'd build that up and sell that. And then I'd want like a BRZ and then I'd build that up and sell that. Like just the process of it. Like I do know how to work on cars. I have worked on cars before. I've done everything except swapping an engine and swapping a new transmission. But I've done basically everything else at some point between working on my cars and working on friends' cars. And I know how expensive that shit is to build, especially to build things the way I'd want to build them and make them street legal and get them registered and drivable and insurance on them. Like so much of that shit that goes into it. Like I'll never have the money to do that hobby the way that I would want to do it. So I'll just never do it.
Yeah. I think people overestimate their abilities with working on cars too. Not that I'm saying
Yes.
you definitively, but I think a lot of people they're like, "Oh, I've changed oil before. I could build a car." It's like, okay, like I can do minor repairs on cars, and I know full well that I couldn't do like build a car. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like and like customize it. Like I just couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
it's not a financial thing. It's like a peer. I just don't know how. So yeah, that's one that I couldn't really do.
Yeah,
I guess
definitely would. I would need help with a lot of parts of it. I'm the first person to admit that, but it'd still be fun.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. No way. I think it would be cool, but I don't know if it's finances that would bar me from this or time or or just fear, but I think it'd be really fucking awesome to be those like squirrel suits. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Like when they jump and like throw out their arms and it's like
oh yeah,
like you're
like you're a flying squirrel.
Flying squirrel. Yeah, those things are so fucking cool. I can't imagine how like
sick.
thrilling that shit is to be able to go out and do that and have a good time with that. But I can't imagine also the amount of money that would go into that. Same thing with like the people that do just like the parachutes that have the strings or whatever, and they go and fucking jump off a cliff and do the parachute shit.
Yeah,
that would be fun too. But again, expensive, and it's not that I'm afraid of heights, but at the same time, like I would be fucking nervous doing that for sure.
Oh, I'm afraid of heights. I would never do that shit.
I don't know if I could or not, but I'd like to. I think it'd be fun.
I absolutely know I could not. Another one for me, Uncle Kyle actually said it in the chat here. Flying. Like I'd love to fly planes, but that shit's dumb expensive. I worked at a college that was known for training pilots, essentially. Like that was what the school was known for. Our mascot was the Flyers, and we taught people how to be pilots, and that shit is so fucking expensive. Even if you just want to do it as a hobby, like between renting the planes, fuel cost, all the training that goes into getting even just like your private license for like single engine planes. Like if you ever want to fly anything more, you have to go through different certifications for that. There's so much money that goes into that shit. And it's one of those hobbies that like with airsoft, at least, like I could hit a point where I get everything I need and then I'm good. And then I just have to pay like the fees of like going airsofting, like, whatever the field charges for the fee for that day, like that shit. Versus like, if I want to fly a plane, I better have $500 to spend that day. And then the next time I want to fly a plane, I got to do that again. Just because fuel costs so much.
People underestimate how expensive it is to do that. And honestly, I don't know how much it is to rent a plane, but I do know how much the gas costs sometimes. And it is very fucking expensive, right? So like there's the renting the part, and then there's the school part, and then there's the gas part, and then there's all the other shit too. And then if you wanted to buy your own, it's insane.
Yeah. A 6-seat single engine plane, as a pilot to rent it is anywhere between $220 and $380 an hour.
To be honest, that almost seems reasonable. You know what I mean?
Kind of, but like you're not using this plane to travel. Like you are just like, it's Saturday, the weather's good, I want to go flying.
If you have enough money though to go get your pilot license, you probably have enough to afford that, would be my guess, because most people could not, if they wanted to, go get their pilot license, just with cost being a barrier to entry there,
Yeah.
So I feel like that's not as bad as I would have thought. I don't know. I guess it's about what I thought, because I was going to say, I bet it's $1,500 or so to rent, and if you rented one for 3 hours, it'd be, I don't know.
But even so, and then you have to like the cost of jet fuel, like so that's just the rental fee, not counting. And so that's like the same fee that you pay when you're doing your training too. So like per hour. And then on top of that, you're paying for fuel and you're paying for your instructors. I would never want to just fly a single engine plane either. I just know how.
I would. If I was going to do it, I'd be totally fine with going and just doing a single engine. Like I have flown in many different types of aircraft, and I have seen the difference between single engine, dual engine, whatever. And some of the funnest ones that I've ever flown in have been really, really fucking small single engine planes, like they're a lot of fun. I think people, what they don't realize is like when you go out and get like some of your bigger like turboprop style engines and shit like that, it's not the same experience. It's much more like airline-y type flight where you're going out and just kind of cruising around, right? And like it's more of a transportation type aircraft. Whereas if you go and get one of those single engines, like as long as it's a stable single engine, you can go and have quite a bit of fun with those planes. So,
yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't mind that. Anyway, yeah, that's a good one. Flight would be fun. I've thought about trying to get my pilot license. I just, I have no like fear of doing it. I don't know if it's even worth the cost to me, because I think about like, I would go out and spend all the money to get the license, and then I'd probably never use it afterwards,
Right.
So just at that point, it'd be because of cost. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's a good one.
What else you got? Anything else for us?
I think that's it for that.
All right. Solid. Now you guys know we got some hobbies that we'll never do because that shit expensive.
They'd be expensive.
Unless I win the lottery.
Yeah, I would do a lot of things if I won the lottery. Okay. Go to my last topic. And again, thank you, Carly. I've got a little fuzz on my shirt, and I keep reaching for the wrong side to try to get it off. There we go. Got it. I think.
You got it.
Right, distracted. Jake, what are some differences that you've noticed in generations? And specifically, if you'd like, what have you seen some generations make worse and some generations that are making like certain aspects better about just life? So, for example, I think I really do think it probably started with Gen Z, like the real movement for it, but just eliminating some of the. I think millennials probably tried, right? But then it didn't. It took until Gen Z to really like shame people enough on the internet to stop saying ridiculous things that you shouldn't say, like the hard R. And I'm trying to think of other good examples of it, but like I feel like, growing up as a millennial, people said that shit all the time, right? Like,
right, yeah.
And it became like slang, right? And like same thing with like using gay as a derogatory word, right? That happened constantly as in the millennial generation. And you look at all that kind of shit that was just not good, and it was horrible looking back at it. And now, like I think Gen Z was a really big proponent of getting rid of that. And maybe it was X. I can't remember if X comes before or after. It was X in between millennials and Gen Z? I don't remember.
No,
I always just think Gen or millennial straight to Gen Z is what
I think it's Gen X, millennial, Gen Z,
and then boomers are ahead of X. So like people that are in like their 40s right now are X.
I believe. No, Gen X. Yes, followed baby boomers, preceded millennials.
Okay. I think okay, Henry, I gave one. You can give the next.
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna talk down on more recent generations versus older generations, in that I think while there have been some things that have like made progress, there's and this I mean this extends into kind of the last couple generations. So we're talking like, the like Gen Z, millennials are part of it as well. But like the this is a little ironic saying like I wanted to go on a prank show and be one of the pranksters, but like the comfort in pranking people in public and like just truly disrupting a person's day just for clicks on the internet.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Like
there's and it's just a natural thing that like we're drawn to that because like humans have a negativity bias. So when we see people react poorly, we instinctively want to know what caused it. So like especially I see it on TikTok all the time of like these prank channels who will like just post the person getting mad at them and will never actually post like what they did.
Yeah.
And so it's like it basically like forces you to go to their channel and keep watching shit because you're like, what made this person react in this extraordinary way? And like I can't say I totally blame the people who react some of the times, just because it's like you're going to get your groceries. Like you were just trying to have a normal ass day. These people are like fucking with you. And yes, it's technically legal. Like what they're doing is not illegal to do in a lot of situations. But it's also like, I don't know what a person went through during their day. Like I'm not trying to make their day any harder by fucking with them when they're just, who knows, maybe they just got fired that day. And then you go and you fuck with them when they're at the store, like just trying to get comfort food, or they need to get medicine for their kids. Like there's so many things that like could be going on in a person's day that I'm not trying to like fuck with that. And that's one thing that the social media generation definitely has like created more of a problem with, is like just the willingness to fuck with people because it's technically legal.
Yeah. It's disappointing too, because right, like I've seen the ones where there's a one that's been popping up in my feed a lot where this dude like goes into stores and just fucks with like minimum wage employees, and it's like, dude, just fuck you. You're kind of a fucking piece of shit for that, right? Like just leave these fucking people alone. Like don't make their life that much harder. And then there's one that I saw, I think it was in the UK, I could be wrong, but there was like the prank going for a while that was like, we're just gonna go into people's houses.
Like, I never saw that.
Fuck is wrong with you? Like walk into a stranger's house and they like just go in people's houses.
Yeah, you do that here.
They're like, you need to leave, and they don't, right? Like it's gone too far. I completely agree with you.
If somebody comes in my house, I'm beaten. Like they just walk in my house, and like it could be an honest mistake. Like they thought they were at their friend's house, something like that. But as soon as I say get out of my house and you don't, I'm swinging. I do not care anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would do. Honestly, I'm not a fighter, but I think that I would fight.
I don't consider myself. I'm not a fighter, but I will fight, and that's a situation where I'm fighting. I've got one. Another one real quick.
My turn, you.
Oh, you're right. I thought. Never mind. Continue.
Piggybacked off of yours. Thank you.
I apologize.
One thing that I think that the millennials did really well, unfortunately, they also fucked it up. So I think, well, you could maybe blame Gen Z too, but millennials really made the final push to get rid of like smoking as a normal habit.
Yeah.
Like it happened in my generation that like at the tail end of like baby boomers. So I guess this was almost a Gen X, like initially starting the push, right? Because it was in the time of young Gen X that you saw the laws start to change where you smoke inside, which was awesome. And then slowly it became just like almost a taboo to be a cigarette smoker by the time you got into the millennial generation. And then the fucking millennials with the combination of Gen Z went extra dumb and made vaping a thing, which is like, oh, it's so much better. It's like, no, fuck off. It's dumb. Stop it.
Like vapes do smell better than cigarettes, but I don't want you to be blowing your peach rings flavored vape with your burnt ass cotton in my face either.
It's also certainly not going to be good for your body, right? Like doing that at the rate people do it is not good for you.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I think that was one thing that like we almost had them, and then we fucking did the spoke in the wheel or the stick in the spoke.
Yeah.
We were like, no more cigarettes. Vape. I don't know.
That's a good way to describe. That's a good way to describe it. One that I notice, and I only notice it because I have a Ring doorbell and I have the Ring doorbell app that like, and it's never anybody my age. It's always older people who like they're like suspicious looking person on my property, and it's like a kid. It's like a 12-year-old kid who was cutting through your yard.
Paranoid. Yeah,
like I fucking did that shit. I never like I cut through everybody's yard when I was younger because nobody cared. And then suddenly, now that we have cameras, and the media is to blame for this. So whatever generation is controlling the media mostly, which is more, it's definitely a lot more baby boomers, probably some Gen X in there as well. Probably some millennial in there too. But it's really like, it's almost like scary to be a kid right now. Like,
yeah, dude, like, if there were cameras up everywhere like there is right now when I was a kid, I would have been the suspicious person on the Ring app. Because like you said, I used to cut through yards all the time to get home. Like you go the fastest way to get home, right? Which 90% of the time for me was cutting through a bunch of different people's fucking yards. And so like, plus ding dong ditching, which is like a very harmless prank. Like that is like a good prank, right? Like it's funny and it's not harmful to people.
Right.
Now the Ring doorbell kind of ruins that even a little bit.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah. It just sucks because like I said, I've seen plenty of stories on the internet, in the news of like kid cuts through yard and gets shot or shot at or threatened with a gun. Like, I got threatened with a gun one time when I was younger. The guy was a drunk. He got in trouble. It is what it is. I wasn't the only kid he did it to, but like that wasn't a normal thing. And I think part of the difference is like, as people have gotten like more of our generations, as they bought houses, like typically a lot of people don't interact with their neighbors as much anymore. Like I knew everybody who lived on my street, in my neighborhood, the street over, the next street over. So like,
I think that's regional though. And I don't think that's just generational. I think that is regional.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Westerners, I think, know people's neighbor or each other, you know, and the neighborhood way more than some of the other places that I've lived for sure.
But yes and no.
Everywhere that I've lived, we've had to force that situation. Everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we have to do it too. Like we're a lot closer with the neighbor on our left than the neighbor on our right, but like we interact with both of them. We'll like wave at people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's like my parents were friends with every parent on our block. I was friends with every kid on our block. And like I just don't see that as much anymore. So I'll agree. I'll count that as a difference.
Yeah, that's fair. I think boomers, I have a hard time saying like nice things about boomers, to be honest with you. I just don't think of that many things that they did better. They kind of just like either held the status quo on something or made it worse because there was such a boom in population. Like they fucked the environment, right? Like that was a boomer thing more than probably most previous generations, just because of the advances in industry at the same time as them just driving more cars and just being fucking gross, dumping oil in this. Did you ever see those and this is I don't know what older people than boomers are called. I don't know what generation that is, but they are like some of the worst too when it came to the environment. Like
there was silent generation.
Yeah, that makes sense. There is an old magazine clipping or like newspaper article or whatever that'll pop up every once in a while viral still today, where it's like how to dispose of your old oil, and they like dig a fucking hole in the ground, put some gravel in it, and then just dump oil into the dirt.
Yeah,
like, and that was like what you were supposed to do then, you know. And that's pre-boomer, but like boomers are so bad at adapting to technology that it's embarrassing, you know.
Yes.
Like, how are you so bad at this? Like, I understand silent generation types like not being able to pick up a brand new phone and figure it out just because like TVs didn't exist when they were born. You know what I mean? Like, so that makes sense. Like the amount of technology change in their lifetime has been insane. But for the fucking boomers, man, like your technology differences are not that much different than my technology differences.
Right.
I can fucking pick up a brand new cell phone and figure it out. You know what I mean? Like my mom's like, oh, I had a black and white TV. It's like, okay, cool. Mine was color, and that is where the differences stop when it comes to like electronics, right? Like all the rest of those advances happened in our shared lifetime for the most part. I feel like
you had
sure,
a cell
there was
phone,
a gap in like the 80s and shit.
but even then, like some of our parents, not mine, my parents are pretty good with technology, but like a lot of my friends' parents had cell phones before their kids ever had cell phones. And yet they go to their kids for every time they get a new phone. They're the ones who have to set it up. They're the ones who have, like, you can figure all this shit out. You're just refusing to adapt because it's not what you grew up with.
My mom was at a young, adaptable age when the internet came into our house for the first time. Like, I remember that happening. So I also was at an age where I could easily adapt to that and like figure out the internet. But my mom was too. She was not that old, right? And I still think that there are things that like my parents would struggle to figure out on the internet. And so it blows my mind sometimes, like how poor they are at figuring technology out.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. Older generations are, I mean, our generations really aren't that much better at it, but they are better at it, like adapting to new information. Like, there's people who know that, like, people our age, like, once we really learned how bad smoking was, like, there's a lot more of an effort by our generations to quit smoking. I'm just using your example of smoking here, but like the older generation, they're like, the magazines used to tell us it was bad, it was good for you, so it can't be that bad. I don't care what the data, like those type of people. Like, it's that same, like,
that there was a change in the times.
Yeah, it's like that same, like, people
when I
don't
was young, I used to beat on my kids all the time. It's like, yeah, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like our generations are a lot better at realizing that, like, science is never not adapting. Like, we are finding out new shit all the time. And like, when I learned
Uncle Kyle,
something,
I'm not talking about building a computer. Building a computer is something that not most people don't ever do that. So that is different than just being able to figure out how to use the mouse and keyboard. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Uncle Kyle, you're not confusing the Facebook status bar with the Google search bar.
Right, yeah.
And posting like a Facebook status of like turkey recipes for Thanksgiving. You're not doing that. We're not talking about you. I promise.
Those were good memes for a while, yeah.
They were. But like it's just the general unwillingness to like accept that things can change. Like, our generations the younger generations are actively pursuing change in a lot of ways, like social change, scientific change. Like, we're recognizing that we recognize that science can adapt. Like, there are things that are going to change over time because we found a better way to test for it, or we found a better way to, test the results of something. Like, a food study in the 1950s used to be like, here's these foods, eat them. Oh, this one, you have cancer now, and this food, you were eating this food. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't have the like necessary controls. You really weren't testing the quality of what they were consuming. Like, there's just so many like science is just so much better that we recognize that it's never a perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect science. It's ever adapting. And I think like our generations do a much better job at adapting. That being said, older generations did make a lot of improvements to science, and we are in a better place because of their willingness to change at the time. But it's just it's changed so fast. And we're, I think, a generation that's more apt to adapt quickly versus some older generations.
Yeah, I don't think you said it out loud. If you put it on the screen. But Carly said, I see a lot of our generation going to therapy for things generations before refused to get helped on, refused to get help on. Yeah. And then some stopping of the weird abusive parenting stuff from a boomer generation. Yeah. Which is what I was alluding to, right? Like, just this, like, you're so impatient as a fucking parent that you have to like hit your kid, and that's like the way. Anyway, yeah. So like people have gotten a lot better at that. And then the last one that I was going to say before we have to end this is, I think the younger generations were on the right track when they started the cancel culture thing, and then just like the prank thing, it ended up going too far, right? Like, I think there are people out there that should be canceled, right? Like, there are people that should not be allowed to have a spotlight and an influential voice in society because they're just bad people, right? And so those are the types of people that you should try to take away the platform so that they don't negatively cause influence. But at the same time, people make mistakes, and like realizing that you can make a mistake, own up to a mistake, and find a way to like recover from that is is something that should be allowed to happen. And you shouldn't just be like, fuck that person. They should never be on the internet again. Right. Like, what's his nuts that was exploiting women's photos that they made the documentary about? What was that site called?
Is Anyone Up?
Is Anyone Up? That guy deserves to be canceled. Like, what a fucking piece of shit, right? Like, get rid of that guy.
Fuck
but
you,
then
Hunter Moore.
Some of the other people that just happen to say something wrong, or they, I can't even think of a good example right now, but there are so many people that are like, go ahead.
Travis Kelce was just like, he had a bunch of old tweets from 13 plus years ago now, where he was like making comments about like fat people, fat women, fat everybody, like just insensitive comments. And like people were getting on him without recognizing like all of the steps that he has taken to to better himself as a person over the last 13 years. Like,
people just grow up in general, right? Too.
Yeah.
Like, something that's 15 years ago almost is like, yeah, dude, I was 15 years old, right? Like, I was a dumbass fucking kid, and I had learned a swear word, or like learned an insult that I ran off the rails. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same concept. Like, if you could go back far enough, and the internet just doesn't exist far back enough, and early social media doesn't, and like see how many people use gay in a derogatory way, like there's probably a lot of like massive LGBTQ supporters out there right now who have said that shit in the past, and they would be like getting attacked right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, you have to grow up, adapt to the times, and admit when you've been wrong. Like, admit that those things were stupid as shit to say in the past. It was insulting. It was a terrible thing to say and use as an insult. And then you apologize for that, right? Like, and you've learned and you've moved on. And so, I think the cancel culture shit just went a little too far.
I would agree with you. It's a good one to end on.
All right, everybody. This has been another episode of Two Average Husbands. Thank you for joining us for season 4, episode 1. We don't really like label these by season. Jake just hits me up every once in a while on the side and says we're starting a new season, and nothing changes.
When I upload them to Spotify or iTunes or anything, it makes you pick a season and an episode number. So we are technically on season 4, episode 1.
All right, so Jake is on the Twittersphere /X at Perry_FF, and then you can find still the Two Average Husbands stuff at Two Average Husbands, 2 AVG Husbands on Instagram and on Twitter /X. The logo is still a bird, so it makes me say Twitter every time. And then we are on YouTube, best place to watch the podcast. Join in with us, comment with us, hang out with us, etc. is on YouTube. So like and subscribe on YouTube and hang out with us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. currently Pacific Time, which is where I exist. And then if you don't, you can always watch them back on any of the millions of different places where you can look at podcasts and or listen to podcasts. Watching ours happens to be the best way to do it, though. So hop on Discord with us and interact. Go on Twitch, watch us live and interact. And then Twitter /X as well, I think still works in the new version of X.
Yep.
We're streaming on Twitter right now. Okay. Yep. All right. That's a roundabout way of saying everything I need to say. So thanks for joining us, guys. I'll let Jake close us out.
If you want to see us drink anything, let us know what you want to see us drink. If you want us to talk about anything, let us know what you want us to talk about. This has been another episode of Two Average Husbands, and we will see you all in the next episode. And as always, don't forget to tell somebody that you love them.